Hey guys, it's Danny. Well, seeing what's in front of me, I'm sure some of you already know where I'm going with this video, but humor me. So, ever since I received these 3DPing watering systems, which, by the way, if you missed the video in which I present them, check it down below. Also, with a link towards the shop if you want to purchase them in the end. So anyway, ever since I learned about this and I used it, I could only think of one single thing, LECA, you guys. Do you guys remember why I gave up LECA? Amongst other things, the most important thing that stressed the heck out of me was the fact that I could not keep up with watering in my environment. Whether it was semi-hydroponics or self-watering, it didn't work out. I live in an oven and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna call it this way. It is very hot here. And as the plants grow and they put out a lot of roots, I find myself in an incapacity of keeping them hydrated. And I'm the type of person that when she says enough, well, it's enough, it's done, I'm done with the thing. But since this is a truly self-watering system, it practically waters the orchid, it soaks it, I don't need to worry. I don't. Layering, who cares? I can put it to water every 3 days. I don't care about my orchid drying out anymore. And this being an inorganic medium, fairly clean if we compare it maybe even to bark, put two and two together. I think it's gonna work out. So today I'm gonna start a project and an experiment with a little Catasetum orchid, which, there you go, the pseudobulbs actually rotted, and this is the only thing that I managed to save. This is a Catasetum Gerhardt Lace Day. It's one of the new ones, although it's not all that new in my collection. It never bloomed. I don't have much luck with the Catasetums here because of the pest situation, but I think this year is better. So I want to put him in this pot with the LECA in the self-watering system and see how he does. And he's not going to be the only orchid I'm going to play around with. I have 4 of these pots, and yeah, I know they are quite expensive. So I will choose my experiments thoroughly. I think Catasetums will enjoy this setup because they are just thirsty plants generally. And there's another plant which I think might enjoy this setup. So before we get started, yeah, don't forget to give this video a like. If you made it this far, why not give it a like? And why not subscribe? I post multiple times a week, but if you're feeling a little extra about it, you can further support the channel by becoming a member, getting merch, using the affiliate links in the description, or using the super thanks option down below my videos. Right, what do I need? Gloves and a tray, that's what do I need gloves and a tray? Yeah, I do. Now, as we get started, for those of you who might be newer to my channel, I actually ran quite a few setups with LECA more than 3 years ago, 5 to 4 years ago. And I tried many things and I discovered many things that I didn't like. Before LECA became so popular, I tried many things with it and I didn't really like how it performed in this environment. The drying out situation was not the only situation that I was dealing with. This particular brand of LECA, which is Pocon, and also the IKEA LECA, which it's not happening anymore for the past 2 years. I don't miss it. But anyway, these 2 brands of LECA that I find locally tend to increase pH rather dramatically. So at some point I was also using some pH down solutions anyway, which I might use as well. Although maybe I won't care all that much about it for this experiment. I don't know. In the meantime, ever since then, in the past few years, a lot of people use LECA with other types of houseplants, such as Hoyas, maybe even some aroids. They're doing quite great, and that's great. I would not use it for orchids because it's just not optimal. As I was saying, that pH is way too elevated, and high pH makes certain nutrients not be so available, or plants generally will not pick up certain nutrients all that easily in high pH. A good range for most houseplants is a lower pH, let's say between 5 to 6.5, so slightly acidic pHs. Luckily for us, sphagnum moss and bark do have those pHs. We don't need to play around with pH down solutions or other types of things that make the medium more acidic. With LECA, it is advisable, and some people who do hydroponics, like true hydroponics, not what we were playing with, semi-hydroponics and things of the sorts, yes, they do prepare their LECA, they soak them in a solution which is slightly acidic. I did that too. It didn't work out all that well. I did the whole lot, you guys. Don't worry about that. The problem is when it dries, and with orchids, it's fairly okay to dry out at least slightly in between waterings. Whenever it dried, it became very basic yet again. So all of these issues combined, I gave it up. I did not want to see it ever, but I didn't throw it away. I paid money for it. I'm not going to throw it away because who knows in the future how I can come up with a use for it. And there we go. We're going to use it today. It is clean. And now one thing that I want to do is remove this. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Remove the little plant from the mother cane. I do have another tiny baby here. I'm going to leave it on until it grows and pot it in something else. And this is the little guy that we're gonna pot in LECA. Don't you worry about it being tiny in a big pot. Do you want to know how big this one will grow this year? Probably like this. It will probably become a little bush like this, even with the setback. It's gonna get huge. Those are the joys of the Catasetum orchids. And the root system, you wanna know how big it will be and how much water it will drink? You don't want to know, trust me. So I soaked it in some water to make the roots more flexible because as you can see, they're slightly horizontal and I need them to be vertical. So I'm gonna bend them a little bit, but let's get to work. Oh, I'm sure LECA sounds horrifying on microphone. So I'm gonna talk whenever I don't make noise. Alrighty, so as you can see, I'm using a transparent orchid pot with ventilation holes. This is not semi-hydro. I don't want it to have a reservoir. I could let it have a reservoir if I so desired, but yeah, it's not the point. The point is that this will soak the entire pot and I'm gonna let it soak every 3 days, which is good. It should be enough. LECA itself doesn't really retain much water, but it does have some capillary properties. Hence why semi-hydroponics implies a pot without drainage, only with a hole or two on the side, just to create a reservoir. So the holes are not at the bottom, they're somewhere here. And whenever you water the pot, a little bit of water will be trapped here. That's if you're not tilting the pot. If you tilt the pot, there will be no water in the reservoir. But if you don't tilt it and keep it straight, theoretically, there should be water here and the LECA will direct it to the top. Practically, I can tell you it's not all that funny. It's not all rosy. It doesn't really work very well in high temperatures, but for some people it does work. So, alrighty, look at that. I just realized, what am I gonna do about fertilizer? Am I going to keep fertilized water in here? Maybe not. Okay, for this experiment, I'm gonna put some slow release fertilizer here as well. These guys eat a lot. Now, LECA and slow release fertilizer, they don't really go together all that well if you cannot keep up with watering. Slow release fertilizer is great in more moist setups. Also because the air pockets in between the LECA beads is pretty big. Again, the fertilizer can just like fall out of the pot or not dissolve properly. But I'm gonna try it, why not? The thing is, if I keep fertilized water in here, especially this one which is white, I will have some algae. I will also give you an update on this guy. After 3 months of use or so, I did have some algae. Not a whole lot, but I did have some. So what I did was I washed it with dish detergent with a sponge. I just washed it inside, moved around the water pump and the cable, and hey presto, it's clean. It wasn't a big deal. So yeah, it will have some algae depending on the environment, but it's really easy to clean up. And it doesn't happen really overnight, which is cool. All right, so I think we're pretty good. Okay, so we are done. Let's just also put the tag back. And now, let me show you the magic of this pot. Alrighty, so first off, I'm gonna fill the reservoir with water. I'm using a combination of reverse osmosis water and tap water. I always combine it. I don't use only reverse osmosis water. It's not needed. All I want is for my water not to be so hard, that's all. I don't need it to be like super soft for the orchids that I grow. Alrighty, so I kind of filled it almost all the way to the top. This should last me quite a while. I discovered it is better to just fill up this reservoir as much as possible. Also, I'm going to be using the lower lid, let's say, like this. So a little bit of water will still stay here. Especially since it's summer, I could use a little bit of a reservoir. If I turn it the other way, no water will be left here. Everything will drain down. So the best side for me is this one. Now, I did remove the battery when I washed it. I removed this whole installation just so I don't get water in the components, which, you know, they're easily removable. They have a jack here, and also this sensor can be removed. There we are. So now I have to put the battery back, and it's gonna beep. Okay, and there we are. Tuck the little cables inside gently. I'm always afraid I'm gonna break them, but I didn't so far. And now let's put the plant in and let me show you the magic. Oh no, the pot is a little wobbly because I have the lid the other way around. So it has this edge which is identical to the size of the pot. So the pot doesn't like click into place. Do I care? I don't really care. It's not straight though. Really, do I care? No, I don't. So now let's give it its first water. I'm going to keep this button pressed for 5 seconds and look what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The orchid is being watered. Look at that. Let's see if the LECA floats. Slightly. It does slightly float, but it's not that bad. So now my orchid is being watered for about, I never timed it, 30 seconds to a minute, somewhere there, somewhere in between, enough for the roots to properly get soaked. And even the medium, even the LECA gets pretty well soaked. So by default, the cycle will repeat itself every 7 days. If you want to set it to a different time frame, you can. With this particular model, you can set it 3 days to 12 days as far as I remember. So I think I'm gonna set it every 3 days and see how fast it dries. LECA dries like this. It does not retain water, especially if we only soak it for 1 minute. Really doesn't. Even if you soak it for an hour, it still doesn't really retain much water. Certainly, it's no moss. So I think every 3 days, now that it's so hot, will be okay. And look at the water, it's so clean. Yeah, everything stays so clean. And now the cycle is complete. How long was that? A minute or so? I guess I can look back on the recording. Now the water simply drains back into the reservoir and it's going to be reused at the next watering. I'm gonna set it now for 3 days. To set it for 3 days, we need to keep the button pressed for 35 seconds. So I'll do that and I'm gonna put you through it. And we're pretty much done. We're gonna end the video. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that registered it. You also have a little light here that blinks and that will help you count the seconds. If you don't wanna get a timer, just count the blinks. And I think we're good. I'm gonna see if this little guy will get watered in 3 days. Yeah, one thing about LECA is that you can't really make the plant sit very, very tight because you cannot compress LECA. That's a good thing, and I guess a bad thing? Not really, it's a good thing. The more air, the better. But also, we need moisture. Right, so for all intents and purposes, my pot is thoroughly soaked and drenched. So we're good, we are done. I'm gonna keep you up to date with the experiment, but definitely I don't see why it wouldn't work out. The only thing that I don't really enjoy is the fact that the LECA is not acidic. For this reason, I got some pH down from the pet shop. I'll play around with it. I'll see if I can get the water to be slightly acidic with this and how it's going to stay in time. It's a process. I need to test it out, play around with it. So we're gonna have an update after a while. It's gonna take a while for me to play around with all of these variables. But if you wanna see intermediary updates, do check out my shorts channel. I'll make short little updates, not jam-packed with information, but you know, quick little snippets of how the plant is doing or what I discover. But for the good big update, it's gonna be on this channel. It's gonna be in a few months probably. So yeah, that is about it. Stay tuned for another one of these setups with an orchid that I actually don't have in my collection. Well, I have one, and it is notoriously grown in LECA, or it was the last time I checked. I did not own this plant for a lot of time. It's a Fragmipedium. One of the reasons why I really don't have luck with Fragmipediums is moisture. Fragmipediums love moisture and my environment is anything but moist. Yeah, maybe this will help me have more success with frags. Alrighty, so for today, this is it. Hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me and I shall keep you up to date. I might flip this. It's on my mind, it drives me crazy. I'm gonna flip this the other way around. There you go. So I'm not gonna have water there. It's fine. It's gonna get watered every 3 days. This pot is just the exact size of that little lip on the lid, and it just wobbles and it's on my nerves. I don't know why. So yeah, we're gonna keep it like this. And yeah, check out down below in the description the initial video on this system and the website. And before I let you go, if you want to keep in touch with me on social media, search for me. I'm at MissOrchidGirl pretty much everywhere. Check out my shorts channel, as I was saying, for short form content. But most importantly, do subscribe to this channel for long, blabby, jam-packed full of information, typically seminar type of videos. It's the good stuff. So with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.